Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, how old are you?
I am 55.
And how do you know the petitioner, Tiffany Osborne?
I am married to Tiffany Osborne.
How long have you guys been married?
22 years, roughly.
Have you read the petition for personal protection order that Miss Osborne submitted to the court?
I have.
Okay, and she's made allegations against you in that personal protection order. Are those allegations true?
No, they are not true. They are, to my knowledge, completely falsified to fit the narrative that she's trying to achieve.
Mr. Osborne, the first allegation that Ms. Osborne made was regarding January 30th, 2024. Do you recall that date?
Very vividly.
Can you briefly state what happened?
Well, Mrs. Osborne was sleeping all day from 3:30 until 10 o'clock at night. I was in band practice. I took my kids to the grocery store, got some food, came back. Miss Tiffany Osborne woke up at 10 o'clock at night, and she decided that she was going to go off on both of our kids and started with my youngest daughter and told her that she's a spoiled little bitch. She's going to ride the bus now, and she's privileged and doesn't do this. And then she moved on to my
That's
other
good,
daughter
Mike C.
because she came home to let her know that she was going to use her phone, and she didn't get her out of bed on time, so she lost her job, and it was her fault. And then my phone rang while I was out working in my barn, and my youngest daughter, Peyton Paisley, said, "You better lock the door. Mommy's being crazy again."
Okay, court will sustain the objections. Mr. Osborne, you can't testify to what somebody else said.
Okay, I apologize for that.
It's fine.
So somebody said, my phone rang and somebody said, "Better lock the door." So I go to lock my door before I got into the door.
Sustain. The court will strike the answer. Mr. Osborne, you can't say what somebody else said. I just said that. So either you're not listening or you're disregarding my admonition. So don't say what somebody else said other than the petitioner.
Your Honor, may I redirect my client?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, so in the evening, you mentioned around 10 p.m., did you and Miss Osborne have an interaction?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and was that right around 10 p.m.?
I'm not sure the exact time. Like I said, I was in my barn. I know that she came busting into the door and was telling me all that was going on in the household with my two daughters. And I said, "I've already been called and told what was happening." And she just started crazy, going off and carrying on. Basically, everything that's stated into this petition, it's kind of like a confession of what she actually did to me. Everything that she said that I did was actually what she did to me.
And so your interaction with Miss Osborne, was that in the house, outside, or in your pole barn?
It was in the pole barn.
Okay. And am I correct in understanding that you said you were in the pole barn first?
Yeah, I was there by myself, minding my own business, and Mrs. Osborne never comes down to the pole barn unless she wants money or something that she needs. So she never comes down there for any reason.
Okay. And on this night, Miss Osborne came to the pole barn, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so when she arrived at the pole barn, what happened?
She came through the door and started carrying on about how her two daughters are doing this and that and this and that. I said, "I've already been abreast of that." I said, "You know what? I'm not here to fight. Would you please just leave? I don't want to fight with you. Would you please leave?" And I asked her to leave at least 10 times when all this happened. So she became frustrated and picked up one of my microphone stands and threw it on my drum set. very expensive
Damn.
equipment. I said, can you leave, please? I asked her again, would you please leave? Leave. I don't want to fight. I went to pick up my mic stand. She grabbed another mic stand. I grabbed the mic stand. So you're not going to throw this. And then I pulled it out of her hands and she fell to the ground just like a cartoon. So I went and picked up my other mic stands and set them back up. And she continued to go on and yell and belittle me and tell me all these names that she always calls me. I asked her to leave again and again. She started walking towards the door and she got towards the door right outside of it. I went to the door. I went to pull the door behind me and she turned around and grabbed 2 handfuls of my hair and said, "No!" at the top of her lungs and fell to the ground just like she did the first time. Where was I going? Right to the ground because she had 2 handfuls of my hair. She would not let go of my hair. So I put my knee, I don't know where it was at because it was dark out, to pull my hair out of it. I went back in to lock my barn because I knew that what she came out here for was to do exactly what she's done today, to set up some kind of PPO or whatever she's doing to get me out of the house. It was very obvious because she came down there with no witnesses. So from that point, she laid on the ground and said her back was broken and threw rocks and stones at my barn.
You guys see over there crying? Like, come on, man. Like, it ain't even started yet. She already crying.
And hit the door handle and everything else she could and yelled at the top of her lungs to get the attention of whoever to call the police and call the ambulance.
Dry tears.
Okay. What did you do while she was on the ground?
I locked my barn. I could not find the keys, so I walked back into my barn. As I walked out, it was dark out. I accidentally stepped on her foot, and then she proceeded to kick me like 5 times while calling me all kinds of profanities. I walked back in. I walked out to my truck, grabbed my keys, came back to the barn, saw the phone on the floor, picked the phone up, stick up my pocket, locked the door, and I walked out. And I walked up to the house because I knew that this is all just an act to achieve whatever she was trying to achieve.
Did you chest bump Miss Osborne?
Did not. Nope, I did not do that. I was trying to get her out of my barn because I have a lot of expensive things in there.
Did the police arrive after that happened?
They did. When the police arrived, when EMT arrived, I had gone to the house because I knew that this was all an act. I watched her fall on the ground. I watched her grab my hair and fall to the ground literally on these rocks. And I heard all of what she was saying. So when EMT arrived, I went to the house because I wouldn't be any use out there. And I didn't want to hear any more of the nasty language that I was being called and the way I was being treated.
Did you speak with the police officer at that time?
I spoke with the 2 officers that night. I was in the house with my 2 daughters, and they came to the door and asked me what was happening. I said, well, let's start at the beginning. And I had them talk to Paisley and have Paisley tell them what had happened. I had them talk to Peyton and had Peyton tell them what had happened. And then I gave them my story as to what had happened. And the officers told me that the EMT had...
Mr. Osborne, were you arrested that night?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Do you know if Miss Osborne was taken to the hospital by the EMTs?
I believe that she was taken to the hospital on her request. Because she sustained any injuries.
How long, Mr. Osborne, how long was Miss Osborne gone from the house?
Oddly enough, she was only gone for 2 hours. So with the broken back and all that she had, I was surprised at myself that she was only gone for 2 hours and released because we received a phone call and my oldest daughter had to go pick her up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And all of this allegedly occurred, or at least this incident occurred on January 30th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you served with the personal protection order?
February 19th at around 11 o'clock.
And how were you served?
I was served by a state police officer. I was I was going out to my barn to get a charger for my phone, and I was in some long johns and Crocs, and I had on just a shirt. When I walked out there, I was locked out of my house, and I had to figure out what was going on. And then the state police pulled in and served me the PPO.
So between January 30th and February 19th, how did Miss Osborne appear at home?
Absolutely fine. Matter of fact, the night that she got the PPO on the 16th, we actually spent the night watching movies together on our couch in our house. And we did the same thing again on Saturday night. So I was totally oblivious that she had even pulled this personal protection order. So this is the second time that she's pulled one. The first time I had it on me for 6 months and never even knew it. Had to leave my house until she dropped the PPO, but for the first time.
When the police officers came, did you willingly leave or did they have to force you?
No, I willingly left. I
And
went in there and asked if I could.
just to clarify, I'm talking about on the 19th when you were served.
Yes, ma'am. Nope, I willingly left. I went in and put on a pair of pants and a shirt, and I asked for my business computer because I was sitting there getting ready for my day's worth of work and trying to get going on it. And the only thing that I could leave with was what I had. I asked Tiffany if I could have my computer, and she looked at me and said, "No, that's my family computer," knowing very well that this was my business computer. So she's done nothing to try to help anything with this situation as far as my business, but yet she wants all of our bills to be paid. I'm still out 60 days now, and I have nowhere to leave. I'm displaced. I have nowhere to go. I can't run a company. I have all these bills that are forced upon me to pay, and I have no way to pay them because I got a trailer full of tools and I'm a general contractor. I can't go to a job and pull out all my tools and put them all back in. There's just no way for me
Your
to
Honor,
sustain
objection
a
as
living.
to relevance at this point.
Well,
Wait a minute.
we can move on, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, let's talk about the second allegation that was in Miss Osborne's petition. That allegation indicates that on January 26th of 2024, at your house, that you threw a glass of pop in her face that got all over the walls, the blinds, windows, and you were very drunk and said, "Oh great, while you're off in your career, I'll just be a broke down old man." And that she wiped herself off and stayed with her daughters in Grand Rapids so you could cool off. Do you recall the date of January 26th?
I don't recall. It seems to me as though we have many different situations that's all being blended into one, and it just seems like a delusion. But I do not remember doing anything. I remember the night that she told me that she got accepted into the nursing program. I remember that very vividly, going into the living room, and I remember speaking with Peyton, and I remember speaking with her and how excited she was. And I was excited for her because one of our problems has been that she refuses to work. And I was excited that she was going to finally found something that maybe she could get a job and be a productive member of society. But I don't remember any other thing. I remember talking with Peyton, and I remember talking with Tiffany about all the unlimited opportunities that she had available because my daughter Peyton is involved in the nursing program. And I remember just having joy. I don't remember any of the negativity that she has put down.
Do you recall throwing pop in her face?
No, nope. I do not recall throwing pop in her face.
Okay, let's move to the third incident that was written out by Miss Osborne.
My man threw the pop in her face.
Mr. Osborne, this is a seemingly a narrative from Miss Osborne, so I'm just going to point out a few of these things and have you testify about them. Miss Osborne indicates that since 2017 that you began using.
No, ma'am, I have not been using that.
Mr. Osborne, have you seen Miss Osborne use any drugs?
Yes, I have.
And what's that?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn.
I've been with this woman for 38 years of my life. So throughout this time, I've seen her use many different kinds.
Shut up! It doesn't matter!
Yo, those some
Miss
dry ass tears. I
Osborne
swear to God.
indicates that she can remember one time when Shane became angry and he threw glass drinkware at me. That mason jar hit the floor and exploded. I end up cutting the bottom of my foot. Did that happen to your recollection?
Once again,
Go ahead, Miss Bailey Hobbs.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Osborne, did you hear my question regarding the glass drinkware and Miss Osborne's allegation that you threw it at her and she cut her foot?
I did hear that. And here we go again. This is just a delusional state of mind where it seems as though she can make up anything in her head, and whatever she says, it's real. That's her reality. No, I do remember dropping a mason jar on the floor and her helping me clean it up. And I told her, thank you. As far as all of her allegations and what she seems to think up in her head and believe to be true, I'm not sure what to say about this, because this seems to be the theme of our marriage over the last 7 years.
Mr. Osborne?
Ms. Bailey Hobbs, any additional witnesses?
Your Honor, I should have 2 witnesses in the Zoom room. If we could take the Trooper Bilecki.
We'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the
Got the
whole truth
cops
and nothing but the
coming.
truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Bailey Hobbs.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Bilecki, where do you work?
The Michigan State Police.
How long have you worked there?
5 years and 7 months.
What is your position with the Michigan State Police?
I'm a trooper.
What are your responsibilities in that position?
Primarily to investigate crimes and respond to calls for service.
How long have you been in the position of trooper?
5 years.
Have you investigated any police reports made by the petitioner, Tiffany Osborne?
Before we continue, gang, let's try to get the likes up. We got a goal of 15,000 per live. Not asking for a lot. You ain't got to pay. Just if you want to get knowledge or some type of information during these lives, help me out. What's up, D-Flow? Help me out by tapping the screen. All of us together, we can get to 15K easy.
I have.
What did you investigate?
Report of a breaking and entering and a PPO violation.
Your Honor, with regards to the PPO violation, I have no objection to that, but I wonder what the other incident has to do with the burden of proof that is for today, of whether or not there's reason for Ms. Osborne to fear Mr. Osborne such that a PPO should be in place.
Okay, Ms. Bailey Hobbs, how is the breaking and entering germane to this matter?
Thank you, Your Honor. The 2 are connected because they both involve allegations regarding Mr. Osborne. They are specifically germane to the issue that Ms. Osborne will continue to try to use this personal protection order to make false allegations against Mr. Osborne.
Well, I'll give you a little leeway, but let's tie it up. I don't know when the B&E was, but if it was like 10 years ago, I guess the court's not real interested in that.
It would these claims that's my next question, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Trooper Bilecki, do you know when this police report was made?
Yes, they're both encompassing the same offense, the breaking and entering as part of a PPO violation allegation. It was on March 14th of this year.
Again, Your Honor, this doesn't go to any of the incidents in the personal protection order. I'm going to continue my objection as to relevance of Trooper Bilecki's testimony.
I don't remember
Go to
asking you a
relevance of
goddamn thing.
again, the show cause that you file, as well as any credibility issues. So the court's going to take the testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bilecki, when did you start investigating this report?
March 14th, the date it was reported to dispatch. I was dispatched to the incident.
During the course of the investigation, what have you found?
I found several pieces of evidence and testimony to directly dispute the PPO violation as well as the breaking and entering.
I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up just a little bit. Can you identify the exact allegations that were made by Ms. Osborne?
Yes, the allegation was that just prior to calling dispatch that night, Mr. Shane Osborne had broken into the residence.
Were there any allegations regarding what was taken?
No.
And during the course of the investigation, am I correct in understanding that you found facts to indicate that Mr. Osborne did not break into the residence on that date?
Correct.
Have there been any other incidental findings during that investigation?
Several, but in regards to a PPO violation, there was another allegation made on a separate date, less than a month prior, and I also found evidence to dispute that as well.
What a wonderful day!
What do you recall what that allegation was?
Yes, an allegation that one of their daughters went to the home to gather things, and Shane was on the phone with the daughter, and the allegation was to that he stated, quote, beat that down, unquote, in regards to physically assaulting Tiffany.
You don't have the right to do that.
And what did your investigation uncover regarding that?
Two eyewitnesses that disputed that allegation.
During your investigation, has Miss Osborne been cooperative?
She has.
Has Mr. Osborne been cooperative?
He has.
Is that investigation complete yet?
No, it's still ongoing.
During your investigation, have you found any other facts to indicate that Mr. Osborne has violated the personal protection order that is in place right now?
I have not found any evidence or testimony to substantiate that Mr. Osborne has made any violations to the PPO.
During the course of your investigation, have you looked up how many incidents and contact reports have been reported by Ms. Osborne?
I have.
And those were reported against Mr. Osborne?
Several of them, yes.
Do you recall how many reports were made by Ms. Osborne against Mr. Osborne?
I believe there were more than 15, but less than 20.
That's crazy.
During the course of your investigation, have you found any facts to indicate that Mr. Osborne has ever been prosecuted on anything?
He has not.
Huh?
Is there anything else regarding personal protection violations with your involvement with this case that you'd like the court to know?
No, ma'am.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Wickham, any cross-examination?
Yes, thank you. Trooper Bilecki, with regards to the breaking and entering the 3/14 of 24 incident, You were asked extremely general questions, and you said that you found evidence to dispute the allegations, but we didn't hear what evidence that is. And so, could you please tell the court what that is?
Sure. There was eyewitness to that night of their juvenile daughter who stated she was the one that took the door and removed it from the screws. Also, Miss Osborne had stated that her slider door was open in her bedroom, and the juvenile stated she also opened that to let her dog out on the balcony. It is on the second story. Miss Osborne stated that she believed Mr. Osborne had used a ladder to enter that second story bedroom. However, there was no ladder that was observed in the area, and there was no markings on the side of the home that would indicate a ladder had rubbed up against it. And there was your standard dirt on the siding is white, so it would have been fairly obvious. The time frame in which Miss Osborne and her juvenile daughter were outside of the residence was approximately 30 minutes, which is a small amount of time. A neighbor has cameras which capture vehicles that drive down the roadway, and that witness indicated to me that the only activity on his cameras was wildlife that night. Mr. Osborne has a solid alibi with 3 witnesses, in which I have confirmed that through the duration of that 30 minutes and then some, as well as the fact that there's only truly one thing that was disturbed in the home, and that was concealed with so many items in front of it that had been essentially hiding those items that were disturbed, that it would have been reasonably impossible for someone to have broken into the home, gained access to those items, concealed those items, and then been out of the home and out of the area within 30 minutes.
Well, that was a lot, Trooper Bilecki. So the information that you gathered, you're making conclusions based off of that, I guess, that investigation and what you found.
This is still an ongoing investigation. My job is to find the facts and the facts only.
Okay. It's my understanding that generally when you're looking at a criminal investigation, that it's a jury's job to determine facts.
I gotta pause it real quick, guys. We hit that 15K. I want to say thank you, DMF. You guys are the truth, man. I appreciate you, man. And thank you for the gifts, everybody. None but love. Let's continue.
Would you agree with that?
No, I collect facts and I collect evidence.
Oh, okay. So your facts are telling you that the juvenile daughter admitted to doing some things prior to leaving the home.
That is a testimony, yes.
Okay. And with regards to what Ms. Osborne told you, she told you what she believed happened, but couldn't necessarily prove whether or not it did, correct?
She made an accusation.
Okay. All right. As most people do when they're filing a police report?
Correct.
Okay. With regards to the other allegation where one of the daughters went to the home, and I think you quoted the part about beat that bitch down, you said you had 2 eyewitnesses to dispute that incident. Who are those eyewitnesses?
Both of their daughters.
Okay, so the daughters of the parties?
Correct.
Okay. One of them is a juvenile?
Correct.
These incidents that you had indicated, more than 15 but less than 20 incidents, do you know over what time frame that occurred?
Not exactly, but within the last 5 years.
So you don't know exactly, but you feel confident to say that it's within 5 years?
Yes, the call history started about 2020.
And are you able to look at all reporting jurisdictions, not just the Michigan State Police?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. Bailey Hobbs, anything else?
I have no redirect, Your Honor.
Trooper Bilecki, thank you for your testimony. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well.
Bailey Hobbs, any additional?
So at this point, guys, the mother's stunned. You know what I'm saying? What's good? What's good, Kana? The mother's stunned right now, guys. She's on the ropes. You got the state trooper standing up for the dad. The children are standing up for the dad. She has those dry ass tears on her face. It's not looking good for her at all.
Additional witnesses?
I subpoenaed one more. It should be in the waiting room, but if not, then I guess I'm gonna have to say that I don't.
No, we don't have any other witnesses in the waiting room.
Okay. No.
Ma'am, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely do. Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Wickham.
Yes, thank you. And Your Honor, may I ask, I had emailed the exhibits email with 3 pictures prior to the hearing. Were those received by the court?
Yes, we received those. I would tell you, they're not in color when they print out, so I can't, I mean, I see some things, but I don't know.
My apologies. I certainly was prepared to use the share screen function so that the court could see them in color.
Okay, if you wish to do so, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I'll do that at the appropriate time. Ms. Osborne, with regards to this personal protection order, I don't want to rehash necessarily every single incident, but do you stand by the statements that you made in the verified statement attached to the PPO petition?
Absolutely.
And then let's talk about the January 30th of 2024 incident. You've heard Mr. Osborne's testimony. Do you disagree with that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And in fact, that night, were you injured or sustained some sort of injuries?
Definitely. To my back. The first time in the pole barn, second time outside the pole barn. 2 blows to the ground.
Bailey Hobbs, any response?
Your Honor, the only objection that I have is that I received them at the same time the court has, so I've not had a proper chance to review them or discuss them with my client.
Okay, well, court will admit, I guess we'll admit that as defendant's exhibit A. I'm sorry, petitioner's exhibit 1.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. So, Ms. Osborne, with regards to, I guess, this confrontation that you had with Mr. Osborne, do you differ in how that went down?
Completely, yes.
Okay. Were you having some sort of issue with regards to parenting your children and the things that Mr. Osborne was teaching them to say?
Absolutely. It was profanity that I had a problem with that was being used in the home that is unacceptable to me.
Okay.
For my children to use.
So you went out there to talk to him about that and you were angry, but you weren't, I guess, as heated as he describes you.
No, I was going down to speak to him. Yes, I was angry, but it was just to be a discussion.
Okay. Were you at the hospital longer than 2 hours that night?
Yes, I believe it was about 5 in the morning when my daughter could come get me.
Okay.
I got my daughter in the building, guys. Thank you, Shay. She says I'm the best dad. Appreciate that, daughter. You're the best daughter.
And I believe during that incident, he made a comment about being able to take his work computer. Do you recall him stating that?
That he wanted to take his work computer? Correct. Yes.
Okay. And did you hear him say in a specific mocking tone, "No, that's my personal computer," kind of mocking you and what you said?
Yes.
Was that a frequent occurrence for Mr. Osborne to use that kind of tone when he would speak with you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and so that's a very good example that he gave the court today of how he would normally talk to you when he was mocking you.
He does much worse, but yes.
Okay.
Correct.
When he was asked about the incident on January 26th of 2024, he stated he does not recall throwing pop in your face. Do you have any reason to believe why he wouldn't have recalled that?
I believe he does, but I am not him. Maybe drunk. I'm really not sure, but I believe
Objection. Call for speculation.
I'll ask it a different way.
Sustained.
Yep. Miss Osborne, on the night of January 26th of 2024, was Mr. Osborne intoxicated?
Absolutely.
Okay, and how could you tell?
Um, by his language, his voice, slurring, anger.
Okay. And this is something you've seen from him and signs you've seen from him over many years?
Many. Yes.
I've never seen like tears so dry, guys. You would think her face be like dripping the way she crying, but she's not really crying. It's just the driest tears I've ever seen in my life.
When he had indicated that he's seen you use many different kinds of drugs, but then didn't necessarily list any, ma'am, let's just ask, do you use any drugs?
My prescription medications, yes.
And with regards to why you filed for this personal protection order, there's been a lot made of the number of incidents that have been filed over the years. Do you agree with between 15 and 20 police reports that may have been filed?
Perhaps, yes, there has been quite a few, yes. Mhm.
Okay. And I believe Mr. Osborne's testimony was over the past 10 years. Would you agree that that would be also over a 10-year span?
I think it's much shorter than that. I think that it's been, the police calls have been over the last 5 years, maybe?
Okay. And in your petition for the PPO, you indicated that Mr. Osborne's been suffering from the last 5 years, correct?
Yes, he has, with my brother.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are you using this personal protection order to get any sort of advantage in the pending divorce matter?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Are you genuinely concerned for your safety?
Absolutely. I fear every door has to be locked. Everything has to have a stick in the window. If anything's taken out, if I find any door ajar, any window ajar, I call the police. I'm terrified. And I'm protecting my children, which I have both at home with me now.
Mhm. With regards to the incident where he poked you in the eye, did you hear Mr. Osborne's explanation for why he poked you in the eye?
Yes, I did.
The breaking and entering, it was your belief that someone had gotten into the home?
I was hoping not, but when Paisley and I got home after a short amount of time, I found the door that had been screwed to go down to the basement. It was screwed shut. I found that ajar, and I also found my sliding glass door.
I mean, pause, guys. We just hit 20K, man.
You know how long I've been waiting for this?
Thank you so much.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Open, wide open, up in my bedroom. So it made me fear instantly.
Okay.
So that's why I called the police.
Okay. And then the other allegation with regards to what you filed the show cause for about being on the speakerphone. Do you stand by your statement that he, while on speakerphone, was telling your oldest daughter to quote unquote beat that down?
Absolutely. It was
Okay.
get the money and run, Peyton.
All right.
That's crazy.
If this personal protection order were to be terminated, would you fear Mr. Osborne taking any sort of retribution?
Yes. I fear for the lives of my children and myself.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Bailey Hobbs?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Osborne, with regard to Petitioner's Exhibit 2, where you said that there was a bruise on your forehead, when was that photo taken?
That was in the incident when Shane was in my face in the barn, in the pole barn.
It was taken while Shane was in your face in the barn, in the pole barn?
No, my mom took that the next day.
Okay, so the next day.
Correct.
Around what time?
I do not remember the time. Afternoon, I would say.
Okay, and it's your testimony that your mother took it?
Yes.
Did the EMTs or the police officers take any photos?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It was so dark out, I don't think so.
Oh, brother, this
How about
guy
that first
stinks!
photo, Petitioner's Exhibit 1, regarding something on your back? When was that taken?
That was taken the next day by my mom as well.
And do you recall EMT or police officers taking a photo of your back?
No, I was covered in clothing and I had a coat on. That was from the impact on the rocks outside from the second time through me.
And I
Just-
can't get up.
Regarding the photo in Petitioner's Exhibit 3 of your face, when was that taken?
Of the eye
Yes.
by my mom
When?
the next day. Or yes, the next day. Yes, I had a trooper or an officer the night before take me to my mom's for safety, and she took the picture of the eye the next day.
I wonder if it's the same trooper that just testified against her ass. What you guys think?
Miss Osborne, did that occur when you say that Shane poked you in the eye once?
Yes,
And that was included
separate.
and
That's
that was
the-
in, let me
Sorry.
finish my question, please. And that was in your allegation number 3 that's titled Since 2017?
Yes,
Is it now your testimony that he poked you in the eye during the January 30th incident?
no, that's separate.
So
No,
it's separate, but your mother took a picture of your eye that was poked on the
that
same day
time.
she took.
No, it was
Wait
not.
a
But I
minute.
was poked a year before
Wait a
the incident on
minute.
the rocks. My mom
How-
also
wait-
took pictures of my back when this incident happened in January.
Okay, so I've asked you when the photo was taken. Number 3, the one of your half of your face. When was that photo taken?
Okay. I believe it was April of last year. I'm not positive. The police report would show when the officer took me to my
If
mother's
you're lying, I'll break the other
For
one.
which incident?
for being poked in the eye. He also took me to get gas and he escorted me to my mother's for safety that night.
Okay, hold on. You just stated that when you got home from with your youngest daughter, you saw the screwed door that was ajar and a sliding glass door ajar, so that made you fear instantly that someone had come in the house, right?
Absolutely, yes. Because when we left the home, I don't remember a slider being open. I make sure everything is closed because of what's going on, and that door was screwed shut.
And so then you called the police and made a report that Shane had broken into the house?
Gotta pause real quick. We just got a new follower, guys.
New friends. Special day.
No, I did not. I called 911 to tell them that I found two doors ajar, and and then when she showed up, I told her, I don't know. Baisley was telling me that she was the one that went outside.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
Hearsay. Ms. Osborne, you indicated that on January 30th, 2024, you injured your back.
He injured my back, correct?
Isn't it true that you already have back pain and back conditions as well?
Absolutely, yes.
What are those conditions?
I have a double curve of scoliosis that's filled with arthritis. I have stenosis, a slew of things, mainly the arthritis and the double curve of in the spine, scoliosis.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thanks. Ms. Wickham, anything else?
Just a follow-up, Your Honor. Miss Osborne, when the police would report out to your home, would they ask you whether or not you wanted to press charges?
Yes, they did.
And what was your answer frequently?
It was no. He's my husband. He's the father of my children. And if I do.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay.
Nothing for me, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Wickham, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. You closing argument, Ms. Bailey Hobbs.
Your Honor, the testimony today establishes that Miss Osborne has made claims that aren't true. The trooper testified that she has made claims against Mr. Osborne that the trooper has found to be false. There was some discussion regarding mocking Miss Osborne between her and her attorney. But it's important to note that mocking does not create a reasonable fear or apprehension that someone's going to stalk you, injure you, hurt you. Miss Osborne has called the police on Mr. Osborne over 15 times in the last 5 years. He has never been arrested. There's never been anything to move forward on. And even if Miss Osborne had chosen not to press charges, that at times is not her decision to make. And so any findings made by police officers were not, did not translate into charges at the prosecutor's level. She produces bruises on the forehead, a photo of the bruise on the forehead. That bruise looks like, it does not look like it's a very fresh bruise, if it is a bruise at all. Miss Osborne indicates that, you know, she was poked in the eye and has a photo of a swollen eye, but yet was very unsure about the exact date and time and who took the photo. Mr. Osborne testified that he has no interest in hurting Miss Osborne, that he's never physically hurt her, and that he just wants not to have the police called on him and end up in jail for something he does not do, and he would like to find some way to have some access to his building so that he can work. Miss Osborne indicates that Mr. Osborne uses illegal drugs, and she produces no evidence to support that. As the court knows, the petitioner has the burden of persuasion to prove that the ex parte personal protection order injunction should still continue. And that's pursuant to Pickering v. Pickering, 253 Mishap 694. Also pursuant to MCR 3.310 subsection B5. It is our position that petitioner has not satisfied her burden of proof to establish that a reasonable person would be fearful or apprehensive that Mr. Osborne would stalk her, assault her, harm any pets that are in her possession, so on and so forth. We are asking this court to terminate the personal protection order, and if the court finds it appropriate, it may be better suited to be an order in the companion case, the family case regarding the divorce, to restrain both parties from approaching each other, calling each other names, doing anything to each other that would be unacceptable to this court. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wickham?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. With regards to the burden, I do believe that we have met our burden that a PPO is appropriate. The court must look at a reasonable person standard, that a reasonable person would fear the respondent And if the court finds that there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondent has committed or would commit the actions in the initial petition, a PPO will be granted. With regards to the issues here, we do have that he has threatened to kill, but we also have actual injury. With regards to the exhibits, petitioners number 1 and 2 are with regards to the 1/30/24 incident, where the respondent had pushed her down on the rock so hard that it caused the marks that we see in exhibit number 1. That additionally, that he had headbutted her, where we see a bruise, and perhaps the lighting is not the best in that picture, but I'm unsure that they were looking to preserve it as a potential for something like this that would happen. But it was a picture taken where I can see discoloration on her forehead. Her testimony is that he caused those injuries. With regards to exhibit number 3, again, we have actual injury, something that the personal protection order would prohibit. We have her eye in quite a state. You can see that it is red, it is puffy, that there is kind of an unnatural curvature of the flap of her eyelid, that she indicates that he had actually stretched out her eyelid. So, Your Honor, we do have, again, a threat to injure or regards to the attacks of my client's credibility. Trooper Bilecki, with regards to her evidence that disputes the allegations, it's the daughters of the parties who I think are quite stuck in the middle here. And if Mr. Osborne has an alibi, great. But what we've heard Miss Osborne testify is that she saw doors ajar and open that weren't open before she left. She believed she had everything locked up tight, so she called the police. The issues with the number of police reports that have been filed but no arrests made. And I respect Miss Bailey Hobbs' argument with regards to why charges haven't been filed, but those of us who actually practice criminal law in this county, who do defense work, know that frequently we will show up and we will be told there's no cooperative victim, there's no cooperative witness, we're going to dismiss it. If they want to bring it back, they can absolutely ask us to reissue it. So, Your Honor, if a trooper is going to, or a police officer is going to fill out a report, their question as to whether or not they're going to submit it to the prosecutor's office will usually depend on whether or not there's a cooperative victim or witness. So the fact that we have no one's been arrested, no one's been charged, doesn't mean that these incidents did not occur. And Miss Osborne's testimony is she would frequently tell them that she did not want him arrested, but at the time, she's calling the cops, she's exercising her right, and I don't think that we should necessarily put her down, if you will, for her ability to call the cops to diffuse a situation. And if that's what they did and that's what she was satisfied with, that's what she told them, is the situation is diffused. We've heard some testimony with regards to his main concern, and his main concern is that he's not able to access the home and his pole barn. Little concern that the pole barn is 150 feet from the house. I don't know as though whether or not there was any sort of consideration about allowing him onto the pole barn property to be able to work. I would say that that's a dangerous license to give. Your Honor, this is exactly why PPOs are here. It is not in any way to get a leg up in a divorce. I'm unsure of any sort of mutual PPO. In fact, I believe the statute specifically prohibits mutual protection orders. And I'm unsure whether or not such a provision could be put in place in the divorce. If there is a concern that Miss Osborne is getting rid of property she shouldn't be, certainly Miss Bailey Hobbs knows the mechanism to file a motion with regards to some sort of mutual restraining order regarding the dissipation of assets. The PPO, a reasonable person would fear the type of conduct that Mr. Osborne has exhibited towards Miss Osborne, and therefore we are asking you to keep this personal protection order in place.
Okay, thank you. Well, in this matter, the court can grant a personal protective order pursuant to MCL 600.29 50, if the court determines that there is reasonable cause to believe that an individual has committed or may commit any acts listed under subsection 1A through K, reasonable cause is shown by facts leading a fair-minded person of average intelligence and judgment to believe that an incident has occurred or will occur. I'm citing People v. Richardson at 204 Mishap 71, 1994 case. In this case, the court has heard far more testimony than we usually get in these particular matters. In these particular cases, especially because oftentimes it's a he said, she said, credibility is always a consideration in every case.
Thank you for the gift, Frank Britt. Appreciate you, man.
Oftentimes, the parties will allege that the other party or one of their witnesses is not truthful or lying. The court has found that inconsistencies in testimony does not mean that an individual has lied. Conflicting testimony can occur as a result of a witness's background, perception, bias, understanding or misunderstanding, or a mistake. When consistencies occur, the court will attempt to determine if they can be reconciled by other testimony or evidence. There was obviously, in this case, substantial conflicting testimony, and quite frankly, more than what the court would normally see in this matter. So the court has to look at and say, okay, which of these parties is the believable party? And when I do that, the court looks at the only other testimony that Mr. Trooper Bilecki, in this matter, a state police trooper for over 5 years. She claims that she investigated in this particular incident, that she, as it relates to the show cause, that were allegations by the petitioner that the respondent told his daughter to beat that down. However, the court would note that the two children that were in this case, one adult, one a minor, eyewitnesses, and they stated that in fact that those allegations were not made. That in fact Trooper Bilecki could not confirm any of those particular allegations. There were also testimony of a B&E, and I don't see that Trooper Bilecki did not state that, again, that it was, or that the petitioner did not say it was the respondent in this case, but court finds it interesting that, again, the petitioner own testimony states that her daughter said that she had basically that she had taken the screws out of the one door and had left the slider open. Notwithstanding that she continued to at least give an inference that it was the respondent in this particular matter, even after both the daughters had denied this incident on the show cause occurring, and that the other one had made an explanation as to why those doors had the issue that they were in. The court will note that when the petitioner testified, she testified that she went to the pole barn to confront the respondent. Court finds that interesting, that if she is going there to confront him, that clearly she does not have the fear or trepidation that she claims over the course of these 15 to 20 other incidents that had occurred before in this matter. There's no doubt that she had some injury. The claim of the respondent was that the injury occurred is that she had taken a mic, threw it at a drum set, that she was picking up the mic again. He grabbed the mic stand, was pulling it away from her. She then at that point fell to the ground.
And I can't
he did
get
testify
up.
that this other incident concerning the finger to the eye, that occurred as he was going out of the room or something, reached back to the door or something and stuck her in the eye, and that was an accident. In this matter, when the court again weighs the evidence and the credibility of the parties, the court is convinced in this matter that, in fact, the incident as stated did not occur as alleged, and that is the basis for the personal protective order. As a result, the court is going to terminate the personal protective order in this matter. The court also does not find by any burden of proof in this matter that the respondent had violated the personal protective order, so the court will, in fact, deny that violation as well. The court will enter an order to that effect. The court would instruct the parties. You do have a pending divorce action. Many of these issues can be taken care of in that by putting in place an exclusive possession order or something of that nature. The court can tailor it in such a way as to not infringe upon, again, either of the parties' rights in this matter, but to afford protection as may be needed in this matter. So that will be the order of the court. We'll conclude this matter at 12:33 p.m. You're free to go. Have a good day.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's why